There's a command hidden in plain sight, one Jesus repeated, emphasized, and anchored his return. Yet it's the very command most believers overlook. People argue about timelines, debate prophecies, and chase signs, but the real question heaven is asking right now is much simpler. Do you obey the one thing Jesus said proves you belong to him? The rapture won't hinge on knowledge, theories, or excitement. It will hinge on a kind of love this world rarely practices, a love that costs, surrenders, forgives, endures, and reflects Christ himself. This is a commandment that separates spectators from disciples, and it is a dividing line between those who are taken and those who are left behind. Before the trumpet sounds, before the sky opens, before history breaks, you need to understand the one thing Jesus said truly prepares a heart for his return. Let's uncover it together. Keycap 1, the overlooked warning. What Jesus actually said about readiness. When Jesus spoke about the end times, he didn't begin with signs or timelines. He began with a warning. Take heed that no one deceives you. Not deceived by false prophecy, but deceived about your own readiness. Many assume they're prepared because they believe in a rapture, talk about it, or expect it. But Jesus made something painfully clear. Not everyone waiting for him will be taken when he comes. In Matthew 24 and 25, he draws a line between two groups of believers. Both call him Lord. Both expect his return. Both gather in the same places, hear the same teachings, and walk the same roads. Yet when the moment comes, only one group enters. The difference isn't theological knowledge. It's obedience. Jesus said the ones who are ready are those who do his will, not merely those who speak his name. This is the part the modern church rarely emphasizes. We celebrate excitement about his return, yet overlook the lifestyle that proves we belong to him. Jesus doesn't separate people by their enthusiasm, but by their fruit. The sobering truth is that many believers live assuming readiness instead of walking in it. He warns in the final hour, people claim to know him, but he will say, I never knew you, not because they didn't believe, but because they never lived the one commandment that reveals his true discipleship. Every parable he gives about the end, whether it's the faithful servant, the wise virgins, or the sheep and goats, points to this. Readiness is not measured by passion, gifts, or knowledge. It's measured by obedience to the one thing that fulfills all the rest. And tragically, it's the one thing many believers avoid. Keycap 2, the one commandment, the love Jesus requires before he returns. When Jesus spoke about the sign that separates his true disciples from the crowd, he didn't point to miracles, spiritual gifts, or prophetic understanding. He pointed to one thing, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. Not casual love, not surface-level kindness. A love so deep, so sacrificial, so costly that only those transformed by him can walk in it. This, he said, is how the world and heaven would recognize his own. But this commandment isn't sentimental. It's surgical. Jesus didn't say, love when it's easy. He said, love as I have loved you. And how did he love? By forgiving the undeserving, serving the ungrateful, and giving his life for people who didn't want him. That kind of love isn't natural. It's supernatural. And it is the one requirement he tied to readiness for his return. In Matthew 24, Jesus warned that in the last days, the love of many will grow cold. That's not the world's love. That's the church's. Cold love is polite, but empty. It sings but won't forgive. It attends but won't obey. It nods at sermons but holds on to bitterness, pride, and self-protection. And Jesus said this chilling truth. Lovelessness is the clearest sign we are near the end. The modern church often measures readiness by passion, how much we worship, how excited we are for the rapture. But Jesus measures readiness by love, how we treat the people right in front of us. Prophecy knowledge means nothing if love is missing. Gifts mean nothing if obedience is absent. And faith without love is incomplete. This is a commandment few obey because it requires death to self. Yet it is the only command that proves we belong to him. And when the trumpet sounds, it will be the dividing line heaven recognizes. Keycap 3, the oil of the wise virgins. Why love is the only fuel that lasts. When Jesus told the parable of the 10 virgins, he wasn't describing two groups of believers who believed differently. He was describing two groups who loved differently. All 10 had lamps. All 10 had expectations. All 10 believed the bridegroom was coming, but only 5 carried oil. Only 5 possessed the inner reality heaven recognizes. That oil represents something deeper than emotion or excitement. It represents a love that endures when the night grows long. The foolish virgins had lamps without fuel, faith without surrender, desire without discipline, passion without obedience. They liked the idea of the bridegroom, but they never cultivated a life that kept the flame alive. The wise understood that true readiness isn't formed in crowds or services. It's formed in the secret place where love costs something. That oil is produced in the places no one sees. When you forgive instead of retaliate, pray instead of complain, repent instead of justify, serve instead of demand. Every hidden act of obedience becomes a drop of oil. Every sacrifice for Christ strengthens the flame. Every moment you choose love in the dark builds a reservoir heaven can draw from. This is why Jesus ties the end time shaken to love. Gifts will fail. Emotions will fade. Excitement will disappear. But love, real sacrificial, Christ-shaped love, endures. In the final hour, only those who carry this oil will recognize the bridegroom's voice. The others will panic, scramble, and try to borrow what can only be built through intimacy. And here's the most sobering part. The foolish virgins didn't run out of oil because they rejected Jesus. They ran out because they neglected him. Their flame didn't die from persecution. It died from indifference. The wise virgins show us the truth. The rapture isn't for the emotionally stirred, but for the deeply surrendered. It's love, not knowledge, that keeps the lamp burning when midnight comes. Keycap for the evidence Jesus looks for, what true love produces. When Jesus describes the people he will recognize as his own, he never points to titles, platforms, or spiritual talent. He always points to evidence, fruit that can only grow from a heart shaped by his love. In Matthew 25, the sheep are welcomed not because of what they claimed, but because of what their love produced: mercy, compassion, sacrifice, purity, and obedience. Their faith wasn't loud, but it was lived. True love doesn't hide behind intentions. It moves. It gives. It forgives. It endures. It changes how we treat the unnoticed, the difficult, the inconvenient. Jesus said, "Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me." That means every hidden act of kindness becomes a declaration. I belong to him. Heaven measures love not by feelings, but by the choices we make when no one is watching. This is why loveless Christianity is the great danger of the end times. People can preach without love, sing without love, serve without love, and still remain untouched by Christ. Gifts impress crowds, but love impresses heaven. And love that looks like Jesus always produces fruit. Humility instead of pride, purity instead of compromise, generosity instead of self-preservation. Jesus warned that many will stand before him saying, "Lord, Lord," expecting recognition, but he will answer, "I never knew you." Why? Because their lives bore no evidence of his love. They knew his words, but they never let those words reshape their character. They agreed with truth, but never obeyed it. The evidence Jesus looks for isn't perfection. It's transformation. A heart that forgives when wounded. A spirit that repents when convicted. A life that chooses obedience even when it's costly. This is the love heaven recognizes. This is the evidence that prepares a soul for the rapture. And without it, everything else is noise. Keycap 5, the great separation, when love determines destiny. In the final moments, the line that divides humanity will not be theological debate, wealth, or status. It will be love. Jesus made it clear in Matthew 25, when he separates the sheep from the goats. The sheep, the ones who followed him in love, lived out that love in action, are ushered into eternal reward. The goats, those who had all the right words but never embodied love, are left behind. The question of the rapture is not about who claims to know Jesus, but who truly loves him. In the end, it will not be about how much we knew or how gifted we were. It will be about how much we loved. Those who loved others as Christ loves them, who laid down their lives for the sake of the gospel, will be found ready when the trumpet sounds. But here's the sobering reality. Many will be left behind, not because they didn't believe in a rapture, but because they failed to love with the same depth that Christ demonstrated. Love doesn't come in words alone. It's demonstrated through actions, through forgiveness, humility, mercy, and kindness. A love that doesn't count the cost, doesn't take offense, and doesn't shrink back. Jesus said, "By this will all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Love is a defining trait of a true disciple. Without it, the noise of our worship, the depth of our theology, and the height of our passion mean nothing. The final separation will come down to this one question: did you love? In the end, love will be the dividing line. Those who truly belong to Christ and those who only claim to. And when that moment comes, there will be no second chance to get it right. Conclusion: one commandment, one question, one destiny. The rapture is not about theories, speculation, or emotional experiences. It's about love. The love that Jesus spoke of, the love he demonstrated, and the love he commands us to live out. This is the one commandment that decides everything. It's the line that will be drawn when the trumpet sounds. Those who love with the heart of Christ, and those who only wore his name. As we approach the final hour, it's not enough to know the signs of times or to talk about the rapture. It's not enough to be excited about the idea of his return. What matters is whether his love has truly transformed us, whether we've obeyed the command to love as he loved, unconditionally, sacrificially, and without hesitation. When that moment comes, many will be shocked to discover that what they thought would guarantee their place in the rapture, religious knowledge, attendance, excitement, was never enough. The question that will determine your destiny is this: did you love the way Jesus loved? Now, while grace still reaches out, while the door is still open, let this be the time to check your heart. If there's unforgiveness, let it go. If there's complacency, wake up. The command to love is not a suggestion. It's the pathway to eternal life. And when the rapture happens, it won't be about how much you knew, but how much you loved. In this final hour, the rapture is coming. The question is, are you ready to meet him in love?